I never thought I'd say this, but I'll never forget the day I saw my daughter-in-law throw a suitcase into the lake. At first, I thought I was imagining things because who does that? But I saw it with my own eyes. She looked around, checked to make sure no one was watching, and then with both hands, she pushed the heavy suitcase off the edge of the dock. It splashed into the water with a dull thud, sinking almost instantly. My heart started pounding, and I remember whispering to myself, "What on earth is she doing?" The sight haunted me so badly that I couldn't sleep that night, and when I finally decided to go back the next morning and find out what was inside that suitcase, I swear my entire world flipped upside down. I don't even know how to describe the feeling I had when I opened it. But before I tell you what I found, tell me this. What would you do if you saw your daughter-in-law secretly dumping a suitcase into a lake in the middle of the night? Would you confront her right away, or would you do what I did and try to find out the truth yourself? My name is Helen, I'm 63 years old, and I've always thought of myself as a reasonable woman. I've lived in the same quiet lakeside town for over 30 years. My husband passed away 6 years ago, and since then my son Mark has been my anchor. He's my only child, and we've always been close, until he married Emily. At first, I was thrilled for him. He'd met her through work, and he told me she was sweet, caring, and thoughtful. When he brought her to meet me for the first time, she was all smiles. Polite, attentive, almost too perfect. She complimented my house, offered to help with the dishes after dinner, and even brought a bottle of wine. I remember thinking, wow, Mark really found himself a good one. But little did I know that behind that perfect smile was someone who could turn my life completely inside out. After their wedding, things changed slowly, almost so gradually I didn't even notice at first. Mark started calling less often. When he did, Emily was usually nearby, chiming in about how busy they were or how they couldn't visit that weekend because of plans. I tried not to take it personally. Newlyweds deserve their space, right? But as time went on, I noticed Mark pulling away more and more. Then, about a year after their wedding, Emily got pregnant. I was overjoyed. I couldn't wait to be a grandmother. I knitted tiny baby clothes, bought toys, and even redecorated the guest room in case they needed to stay over. But even during her pregnancy, Emily kept me at arm's length. Whenever I offered to help or come by with meals, she'd politely decline, saying her mother was already helping. Her mother, by the way, lived in another state, but apparently Emily wanted her and not me around. When baby Lily was born, I hoped things would change. I wanted to be there for my son and granddaughter. I showed up at the hospital with flowers and a teddy bear, but the moment I walked in, Emily's face tightened. She barely looked at me. Mark hugged me briefly, but even that felt stiff, awkward. The room was cold, emotionally, not physically. And that's when I started to sense something was wrong. Over the next few months, I saw Lily maybe 3 or 4 times. Every time, Emily made excuses. Oh, she's sleeping, or she's fussy right now, maybe another day. It was like she was deliberately keeping me out. Then, one day, Mark came by alone. He looked exhausted, pale, with dark circles under his eyes. He said everything was fine, but I knew it wasn't. When I asked if he was happy, he just smiled weakly and said, "Yeah, of course, Mom. We're good." But his tone said otherwise. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about him. Something felt off, deeply off. Months went by, and then one evening, I went for my usual walk by the lake near my house. The sun had set, and the water was calm, reflecting the faint glow of the moon. As I got closer to the dock, I noticed a car parked nearby. Emily's car. I recognized it instantly. I'd seen it in their driveway dozens of times. That alone was strange. Why would she be here at this hour? I stopped, crouched behind a tree, and watched as she struggled to drag something heavy from her trunk. It looked like a medium-sized suitcase, the kind you'd take on a week-long vacation. She was panting, muttering something under her breath, and then she shoved it off the dock. The splash echoed through the still night. I froze. She looked around nervously, then drove off, headlights flickering through the trees until they disappeared. My heart was racing. 1,000 thoughts ran through my head. Was it garbage? Something illegal? Something worse? I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about that suitcase sinking into the water, and the look on her face. By morning, I decided I had to know. I grabbed my fishing gear, pretending to go for my usual morning routine, and went straight to that same spot. The water was murky, and for a while, I didn't see anything. But then, just near the reeds, I saw the faint outline of something dark beneath the surface. I reached in with the handle of my net and tugged. It was heavy, far heavier than I expected. After several minutes of struggling, I managed to pull it closer until I could drag it onto the dock. The suitcase was soaked, dripping, the fabric slick with mud. The lock had broken when it hit the dock. I hesitated. My hands were shaking. What if there was something inside I didn't want to see? But curiosity, or maybe fear, got the better of me. I slowly unzipped it. Inside, wrapped in plastic and cloth, were stacks of cash. I mean thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. My mouth fell open, and then I saw something else tucked into the corner. Documents, bank slips, envelopes, and photos. My stomach dropped when I realized what I was looking at. The photos were of my son. In one, he was lying on the floor of what looked like their living room, eyes closed, looking lifeless. Another showed Emily standing over him, holding what looked like a phone. The timestamp on the photo was from 2 weeks ago. My knees gave out, and I almost fell over. I didn't understand. Was Mark gone? Was this real? Or some horrible setup? My mind was spinning. I stuffed the contents back into the suitcase, zipped it up, and dragged it back to my car. I didn't know who to call. I wanted to call the police, but something told me to talk to Mark first. Maybe he could explain all this. Maybe there was a reason for the money and those pictures. So I drove to their house. Emily's car was in the driveway. I knocked, heart pounding. After a few moments, she opened the door, her face pale when she saw me. "Helen," she said, forcing a smile. What a surprise. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "We need to talk." Her face twitched slightly, but she stepped aside. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I didn't see Lily's toys anywhere, which was odd. Emily sat down, pretending to be casual, but I could tell she was nervous. "So," she said, "what's this about?" I didn't waste time. "I saw you last night," I said, "at the lake." Her entire expression froze. She blinked, lips parting slightly. I went on, "I saw you throw a suitcase into the water. I went back this morning. I opened it." She stood up so fast the chair scraped against the floor. You what?" she stammered. I didn't say anything, just watched her crumble. Her eyes darted toward her phone, like she was thinking of calling someone. Then she whispered, "You shouldn't have done that." My blood ran cold. "Where is Mark?" I asked. "Where is my son?" She stared at me for what felt like an eternity before finally saying, "He's gone, Helen." My heart nearly stopped. "What do you mean gone?" She shook her head. "He left. We had a fight 2 weeks ago. He packed his things and left. I haven't heard from him since." Her voice was trembling, but something about it didn't feel sincere. "Then what's with the money? The photos?" I demanded. She bit her lip, her eyes darting again. "You don't understand," she said, voice cracking. "It's complicated." So that's the situation I was in. I had found a suitcase full of cash and disturbing photos. My son was missing, and my daughter-in-law was lying through her teeth. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a second and think. What would you do if you were me? Would you go to the police right then, or confront her even harder and try to get the truth out of her first? Tell me in the comments, because honestly I was terrified and had no idea what to do next. I decided to stall. "Complicated?" I repeated. "You owe me an explanation." Emily sank back into the chair, running her hands through her hair. "He was in trouble," she finally said. "Mark, he did something stupid. He took money from his company, and when they found out, he panicked. He begged me to hide it until he could fix things. But then, he disappeared. I thought if I got rid of the suitcase, maybe it would all go away." Her words tumbled out, but I didn't believe her. The photos didn't look like a man on the run. They looked like evidence. I stood there silent, until she said, "Please, Helen, don't go to the police. If you do, they'll think I'm involved." That was the final straw. I walked straight out, got into my car, and drove to the police station. I gave them everything: the suitcase, the photos, the cash. They immediately launched an investigation. Emily was brought in for questioning the next day. At first, she denied everything. She said the suitcase wasn't hers, that she'd never been near the lake. But when they showed her the footage from a security camera at a nearby boat rental place, footage that clearly showed her car that night, her story began to unravel. It turned out Emily had been having an affair with one of Mark's coworkers. Together, they'd convinced Mark to invest in a fake business scheme. When he found out it was a scam and confronted them, things got violent. According to the investigation, Emily claimed it was an accident. That Mark fell, hit his head, and she panicked. The coworker helped her cover it up. They took the money Mark had saved, put it in the suitcase, and decided to dump it in the lake to erase all traces. They even staged photos to make it look like he'd left voluntarily. When I heard all this, I broke down completely. My son was gone, my only child, and the woman I'd once welcomed into my home like family had destroyed him. Emily was arrested, along with her accomplice. The police eventually recovered Mark's body in a wooded area near the old quarry. I can't describe the pain of that moment. Seeing his name in the report, knowing he'd died alone, betrayed by someone he loved. Months have passed since then. Emily's trial ended a few weeks ago. She was sentenced to life in prison. Her accomplice got 20 years for his role. Lily, my granddaughter, is now living with me. She's the one bright light in all this darkness. She doesn't fully understand what happened. She just knows her daddy's gone and her mommy's not coming home. I've promised to give her the life my son would have wanted for her, full of love, safety, and truth. Sometimes late at night, I still walk by that lake. The water looks calm, peaceful, as if nothing ever happened there. But every ripple reminds me of that night. The splash, the secret, the horror hidden beneath the surface. I still ask myself, what if I hadn't gone back? What if I hadn't looked? I might never have known what really happened to my son. So, tell me, was I wrong to open that suitcase and go to the police right away? Should I have trusted Emily's story? Or did I do exactly what any mother would have done to protect her child's memory? Thank you for listening to my story. If you were on my side, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories like this, and let me know in the comments what you think Emily truly deserved. I'll see you all in the next story.